Well, I'm really looking forward to catching up with the multiple premiership winning jockey, one of the top jockeys in Sydney as well, and arguably one of the best jockeys in the world. But unfortunately, Hugh Bowman wasn't available. Hit up with James McDonald, can you believe?
Yeah.
Boy, how are you?
You're battling. I could have got him on the phone if you wanted him to. Would have saved me some time anyway.
Look, we will, in this day and age, biggies can't be choosy.
No.
We'll have to just stay with you, but it's good catching up with you. How are you coping with this new world, this COVID-19 world that we live in now?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Obviously, we're not in restrictions like you guys in New Zealand, but everyone's taking it very seriously here, especially the community and the racing community anyway. And we're very lucky to be racing at this point in time, especially what's gone on. And there's been strict protocols put in place by the New South Wales stewards, and they've policed it really well. And it's quite surreal to see what's happening at a racecourse here in Australia at the moment. Like we can only be in certain areas. We have to, once we hop off our horse, it's straight back to the locker. We hand our saddles to someone to give to the trainers, and the trainers are standing over behind a fence, so you can't even really talk to them. And basically, instructions are given well before the races, and it's race day as usual after that. But yeah, it's just really weird. Obviously, the midweeks aren't as vibrant, but they are never as vibrant as what the big days would be, and they've obviously taken a massive hit. But in saying that, it's when you're legged onto those good horses, that doesn't really change too much. It still feels like carnival time, and we've got a few big days to come up. And yeah, like I said, we're pretty lucky to be racing at this stage.
Yeah, exactly, because we've been in lockdown, obviously, for the last 2 weeks. We've got no racing here, as you well know, that the country's in lockdown. We have been watching you and the rest of the opposition go around in Sydney in the last couple of weeks. Let's just talk about a couple of horses that spring to mind readily. Very Elegant. They're winning the Tancred Stakes. Man, that looks so easy.
Yeah, she's just gone to a new level, and this preparation, she's just doing everything so well, and it's obviously pretty sad. Won't be partnering her on Saturday, but we've had a really good run in the last couple of starts. She's unlucky not to have been probably a triple Group 1 winner. She got beat by Tiaka Shark over a mile on a good track, second up, and then she was beaten by the English horse third up on in the Ranvet. So, and only by small margins. So it's a testament of how good she's going at the moment, and she's obviously back from 1.5 miles to 2,000 on Saturday, and that won't hold any fears with her. She just looks sensational, and the way she's executing her races is just brilliant to see. And it's been a thing that obviously Chris and his team have been worked so hard on over the last year and a half to get to where she is at the moment. So at least they're reaping the rewards, and hopefully they've got a big couple of years with her, because she just feels like she's only going to get better from here on in.
Another horse with the same connections, the Chris Waller, James McDonald combination, that's had its issues over the last 12 and a half months or so, is Nature Strip. Boy, wasn't he impressive last week.
Yeah, he's a lightning machine, that's for sure. And obviously he's working things out as long as, and we are too. It's a bit of a give and take with him. He's a weird horse. I still can't believe he got beat over 1,000 metres down a straight first up. It's just mind-blowing to see what he's doing now. And he obviously caught us off guard that day, and we thought we were going into that race pretty much unbeatable, and he just threw in a spanner in the works there. And it's quite bizarre, because he was working so well leading into that one where he got beat and disappointed everyone, and then his work hasn't changed at all till now. But it's just like he just loses that freshness out of his system, and he's quite a nervous sort of horse, and I can pretty much tell whether he's on song, either cantering to the start, and if he's relaxed, he's basically, you'll see him unbeatable every time, because he's just got that high cruising speed where he breaks the horse's strides a fair way from home. And he obviously, his last furlong's never his best furlong, but it never has to be. So it's a great attribute to have, his speed, and he's harnessing it in the right way now.
But the way you ride that horse is so important as well, because you don't bustle them in the early stages, do you? Like, you're lucky enough to draw in last week,
Yeah.
and there are 4 or 5 of them all coming after you, attacking you. The temptation must be there to say, right, I've got to give them one kick in the gut, just to go a little bit quicker. But you resist that temptation, don't you?
Too scared, George. Fear. No, he's just so explosive, and you don't have to move too much on him for him to get a signal to go, and that's how long it's taken us to work him out, and that's probably one of the faults I did on him in Melbourne. I gave him a little squeeze over 1,000, thinking he was just too good and too fast for them, and it backfired big time. But yeah, like you said, he's drawn the perfect marble every time, and it gives him time. Now he's jumping; it gives him time to build into a bit of a rhythm. And yeah, he's such a big, powerful horse, and the way when he gets mobile, it's just doesn't give many opposition a chance. But I'd still love to see him over 7 furlongs at Randwick, where that starts a bit unique, where we can probably dictate, and he'd keep running. But obviously, we're not going to do that this preparation. They're going to save that for another. But I think he'd be just as effective.
Well, talking about good horses, you've got 3 very good rides on Saturday in the second day of the championships. You love winning these Group 1 races. Let's first of all go to the Longines Queen Elizabeth Stakes, Group 1. Interesting ride, James. Number 1, Ganon Premium, the Japanese horse. Firstly, how did the ride come about?
We obviously, with the Racing in Doubt, I don't know how long ago now. It was probably 3 weeks ago. There was a lot of restrictions put into place, and Damien couldn't come up. And this was probably 10 days prior to, or even 2 weeks prior to, very elegant's dominant win in the Tancred. And so she was in doubt, obviously, to go to the Queen Elizabeth, or had second thoughts, and that's why she backed up into the Tancred with Racing in Doubt. And so I took the ride on Damon Premium then, and so it's been a ride long in the process. Like, I haven't been just booked for it 2 weeks out, and I was pretty thrilled to obviously get the call. His credentials are huge, and he's probably one of the most sought after rides coming out to Australia this time in anyway. Or he's even better than any horse that has come out to this country. Looking at his form, he was champion 2-year-old, he was a star 3-year-old, he started odds on in a Japanese derby, and he's had 10 starts, 6 wins and 2 placings, which reads pretty well leading into this. And hopefully the weather just stays fine, and you'll see how good he is. But he looks a pretty nice horse, and he's worked really well. He's settled in brilliantly, and the Japanese, they don't leave no stone unturned. So he looks as good as ever.
A lot of New Zealand interest in the race, of course. We've got the 2 from Tiakau Shark, Melody Bell. And we've got the other former New Zealander mare, now with Chris Waller, of course, that you won a Group 1 race on recently, and you've got off it. Very elegant. Yeah,
I know. It's a bit sad, obviously, because we've had a really good connection, and she's been really good to me. I think I've won 3 Group 1s on her, and she's obviously in career best form. So it was a little bit sad that we had to forego the ride. But in saying that, things happen, and I couldn't. I was booked on another horse, and that's the way it is. I still very scared of both of those runners, and same with Tiakau Shark. He looks in really good order. Obviously, things didn't go his way last start, and it's a tricky track, that Rosehill, when it was so wet. So you probably didn't like that. And obviously Melody Bell, she's a star. I'm actually more nervous of her than most of them. I think she's as good as they come.
Yeah, all right. Well, we look forward to the Longines Queen Elizabeth. The Australian Oaks, you ride another one for Foxton's finest in Chris Waller in Nudge. Now, obviously a Group 1 race. One of the main rivals in this was the horse he rode last week, and I watched it in my man cave, and boy, it was impressive too. That was Colette. And yet you're staying with Nudge.
Again, had to fulfill my booking. I was booked for this horse two weeks ago, prior to Colette coming out and smashing her rivals there. It's just the way it is at times. Like, these horses are on a week backup, which is perfect. But I was trying to explain to someone before. They go, oh, why are you not riding this? Why are you not riding that? But if Colette didn't come out and win, I was left with no ride or no good ride, where at least Nudge is still a good ride. And yes, you might be up against it trying to beat Colette, but in saying that, it's a pretty even race, I feel. Those top 4 in the market, there's nothing between them, and it's just runs and race. But thankful we've drawn quite well, and same with Colette. So it's going to make a really good race, and you never underestimate Pobberville. With her turn of foot and her class, she's probably the best horse in the race. So it makes it a very good 2,400 metre race, and obviously these things can happen. Where look at Castle Vecchio, he was probably the best horse in the Derby last week, and he got undone by the trip and track. So anything can happen, but I'm happy enough with Nudge, and I think she'll run the 2,400 out pretty strongly. She's been trained to run this trip, and she's trained really well this week.
The other Group 1 is the Coolmore. Can we all get our money back off FUNSTAR after he took it all last start?
Yeah, I'm glad she's actually stepping back in trip, because the 2,000, she will run 2,000 in time. She just got really keen, and I think it was more the reason being is that she's trained at Rosehill, and she gallops there every third day, and I think she just took charge a little bit and brought herself undone. But back to the mile at Randwick, where she's won a Group 1 before. I think there's no stars in it in terms of mares. I would have been scared if Melody Bell had turned up there, because I think Melody Bell would have beaten her. But and apart from that, very even bunch of mares, and they've had their turns each week. These mares have been going around for the last 2 months and had a different result every time. So nothing between them, and FUNSTAR's the fresh one on the scene, and I think she'll get the job done.
Oh, well, we look forward to FUNSTAR and the Coolmore on Saturday. Of your other rides, is there one you could tip our viewers as to following on Saturday? Because we've got absolutely nothing else.
Bored, are you?
Absolutely bored. You can watch Marianne mow the lawn so many times, James.
You might have to get a treadmill, George. Keep fit.
Just give us a winner, please. Give us a winner by a treadmill.
I actually like 2 horses. I really like my horse in the provincial championship called Through the Cracks, and he's going super, this horse, and obviously he's well off in the market. He's not one of the fancied ones, but he's going as good as a fancy one should. And I think Cosmic Force will win.
Ooh, Cosmic Force. Okay, that's in race 5 on Saturday. Look, really appreciate you taking your time out of your very busy schedule. What do you do for the rest of the day? How many times can you ride work a week?
Yeah, only once a week, but I'm happy with that, because I don't like riding work. So,
Opie would be absolutely loving it too, because he hates riding work, and he only has to do it one day a week.
Yeah, he doesn't like getting off his back either. So he normally turns up at about lunchtime at my place as well for a feed. So we might go for a walk with each other or something. We can only walk in 2, so it suits us fine. Okay,
hey, look, it's great catching up with you. Keep up the good work. Stay safe. And can you please give our best regards to the best jockey in Sydney, Hugh Bowen? See him next.
Yeah, no problem. I'll get him on the phone for you.
Good on you, mate. Take care.
Cheers, George.